Thank you for tuning in to another episode of your favorite podcast. Last week's episode 1, we talked about history and historiography. I promised we would continue where I left off, so here we go. Make sure to hit that like button for this video and subscribe button to tune in to more episodes of this podcast. For today's episode, I am interested in how you study history. Let me know in the comments section of this video and let's talk about it. Today, I would like to continue from where we left off in episode 1. We said that historians are one of the primary people who produce secondary and tertiary sources. How did these historians produce these sources? Well, they study primary sources. What are primary sources? Well, they are what was produced at a time of the event and or phenomenon. For example, a primary source about the American Civil War will have to be a source that was produced in 1861 to 1865. But a time period is not the only thing that defines a primary source, because there could be a historical event and or phenomenon that was recent, like the 2011 Tōhoku earthquake and tsunami, progress of LGBTQ rights in 2015, United Kingdom voting to leave the European Union in 2016, Avengers Endgame in 2019, and the COVID-19 pandemic in 2019 to 2023. These events and phenomena were all history, yet most of us alive today experienced or were alive when these happened, so it is understandable if some of you do not realize them to be history. But let's get back on topic. How would you be able to differentiate between primary, secondary, and other sources for history events that were this recent? Besides being something that came out during the same time as the event or phenomenon itself, we also look at the type of the source. Primary sources are a bit harder to figure out because some may look like primary sources but are actually secondary sources. For example, articles can be both primary or a secondary source, so we have to look closer to determine whether or not the article is a primary or a secondary source. If the article acts as something in a moment, reporting something new about something that is happening at the time, it is probably a primary source. But if the article is only published during the time, but not reporting something new of the event or phenomenon at the moment, it is probably a secondary source. Other primary sources would also include newspapers, news reports, manuscripts, letters, official government documents, paintings, cartoons, memoirs, manifestos, artifacts, audio recordings, video recordings, and even podcasts like this one, and more. Primary sources also take time to research, including find, read, or view, and corroborate with other primary sources. One primary source is not enough to paint the full picture of the historical event and or phenomenon. Okay, it is now time to wrap up on the introduction to history. In these 2 episodes, we talked about what history is, how to study history, what historiography is, and how to approach different sources like primary and secondary sources. What is left? Well, doing it. Historians are trained to do this work, and the more they do it, the better they get at it. I have been trained during my 4 years of undergraduate. I studied and memorized key people, events, and ideas of history. I tied that to my research. I researched using both primary and secondary sources. I shared the findings to others by writing, giving oral and visual presentations. Like other academic professionals, historians train and provide society something that makes the world a better place. So next time you read a textbook or a secondary source, which are books, articles, and essays, remember the many hours of hard work that these historians have put in to provide you something simpler and faster to read so you can learn, but also go about your day. For our next history episode, episode 5, please provide in the comments if you would like to learn about a fun history fact or hear a history book review. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to not forget to always come back weekly on Tuesdays. Have a good rest of your week.